This Saturday is the big event we've all been waiting for. I'm talking about Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili at UFC 306 at the Sphere in Las Vegas. And if you already read the title of the video, you already know what I'm about to say. I think Sean O'Malley takes out Merab likely within the first 2 rounds. And look, man, it's not that Merab isn't good. I'm not saying that. He's obviously good. But I just don't think he's on O'Malley's level, if I could be real with you. And if you ask me, it seems like a lot of people are starting to catch on to the same thing. I've been noticing. If you check the betting odds, you'll see that Merab is still the slight favorite, sitting around on minus 115, while Sean O'Malley is listed at minus 105. Honestly, I'm a little surprised by that, but I guess it's no shock that many casual fans are leaning towards Merab. But anyways, you're probably asking right now, what are you talking about? Merab has been on an absolute tear with dominant performances back to back. He's on a 10-fight win streak and he's beating guys like Jose Aldo, Peter Yan, and Henry Cejudo. How could Sean O'Malley possibly beat him? Well, honestly, the main thing that Merab is known for is his insane gas tank, right? Beyond that, I don't think he's all that great. And look, I get it, Merab usually overwhelms everyone with his endless amount of takedowns. But if we're talking about his actual top control and his grappling in general, it's really not that great. He barely throws any ground and pound, he has no submission threats, it's just that he brings an insane pace and pressure. The thing is, he just never stops. He keeps shooting for takedowns all day long. But sure, it's effective, but I don't think anyone has had the right game plan to beat him yet. I mean, look at Jose Aldo or Peter Yan for an example. They're both known for being slow starters, and Merab took advantage of that with his consistent takedown attempts. Merab beat them by keeping that pressure on and spamming takedowns, which is still impressive. I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but if I'm going to be honest, Yan was never fully controlled on the ground. He was consistently able to get back up even late in the 5th round. And Jose Aldo was just stuck in the fence. And when Merab Dvalishvili fought Henry Cejudo actually had a lot of success early on in the fight. In the 1st round, Henry rocked Merab with a hook and it looked like Merab was struggling to adapt to his movement. But then Henry gassed out and got overwhelmed by Merab's pace. And like I said earlier, not taking anything away from Merab, I just don't think he's good. Like everybody else is saying, he is. I think the fight between Sean versus Merab is going to show this. And look, even if Merab does get the takedown, Sean's going to get back up. Merab has never been in a situation where he took somebody down and they were never able to get back up. There's always been an opponent that's always got back up on their feet. And Merab is going to have a hard time trying to catch this man because Sean is underrated when it comes to managing distance. His footwork is great, Sean is accurate, and he's an amazing counter striker. Not to mention that he's very long and lanky. And he's a huge bantamweight. And look, I know there are plenty of Sean haters out there making excuses saying that he's not that good. They cope by claiming that Cheeto isn't a real takedown threat and started to slow down, or that Aljo was rushed into their title fight right after defending it. People get delusional saying Merab's pressure and cardio are on a whole different level, but honestly, while Merab is different, he's definitely tougher. However, his defense is practically non-existent. Honestly, I don't think this is Sean's toughest stylistic matchup at all. If we're gonna be real, his toughest was Aljo, because if Aljo managed to take Sean down even once and get his back, it would have been game over. Aljo is the best in the UFC when it comes to securing the back and finishing from there. But what actually happened? Aljo couldn't even touch Sean. He got frustrated because of Sean's footwork was on point. That frustration is what led Aljo to throw that wild left, which Sean easily countered and made him pay for that. And to be honest, I think that's how this fight is exactly going to go. Merab is going to have a hard time coming in, and I think he's going to try to force himself in. And when you try that against Sean, he is going to sleep you because the dude has knockout power. I mean, he's rocked every single fighter he's ever fought in the UFC, and I honestly think he's going to make it look easy. Another thing I noticed looking at Merab, I'm convinced this guy has no real grasp of distance management. That's exactly why he got clipped by fighters like Marlon Moraes and Henry Cejudo. His game plan is pretty basic, throwing 1-2 and immediately shooting for a takedown. Merab's strategy relies on making his opponents go stationary so he can overwhelm them. We saw that happen with Aldo and Yan, and eventually it happened to Henry too. But someone like Sean isn't going to stand still and let him do that. He's going to be moving all over the octagon. And even if Merab gets him down, Sean is going to get back up and look for the big opening and eventually knock him out or TKO Merab. Plain and simple. Even if he gets down a couple times in that fight, Sean has 25 minutes to find the knockout blow. And personally, I feel pretty confident in his ability to knock out Merab. And look man, the key to fighting Sean is closing the distance. Peter Yan's striking was sharp enough to get inside and land deep takedowns. But Aljo on the other hand, despite being the better wrestler, just couldn't close the gap. It's likely that Merab will face the same challenges, and that's why I have a hard time seeing him winning, or pretty much getting anywhere close to Sean. Merab is a tough dude, but that left hand has some power, and I'm telling you man, he's going to knock out Merab. I think another aspect we have to think about in this fight is Sean O'Malley's BJJ, because Merab tends to fight strikers and wrestlers more than submission specialists. Sean O'Malley's BJJ is actually pretty solid. Even though most focus on his striking, he showed that he can handle himself on the ground with smooth transition and solid submission techniques. His ability to defend against grapplers and avoid being controlled on the ground just shows how good his ground game is. And plus, he's proven that he's not just one-dimensional, as he used his BJJ to lock in a submission and control opponents when the fight goes into the mat, just like how we saw against Gomi. Now, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Sean managed to catch Merab in a guillotine or something, but at the same time, Merab could always totally flip the script and just dominate Sean with takedowns. Somehow he gets into range and completely keeps spamming takedowns until he wins. I mean, this is MMA after all. If Sean can't get the knockout or pull a submission, there's always a chance that Merab can just overwhelm him and break all the expectations. But I doubt it. Now, as far as how I see this fight going down, I think in the first round, Merab is going to have trouble tracking Sean down. Sean's great at cutting angles, and I could definitely see him landing a big left that puts Merab on the ground. Sean could follow up with some heavy shots, and if Merab survives and starts shooting, I think Sean could stuff the takedowns and eventually land another big counter, finishing Merab by a TKO in the first round. Especially if Merab has staff, then he's completely screwed. Like I said earlier, he's not some elite grappler, he just relies on insane cardio. If that cardio gets zapped because of that staph infection, at that point it's an even easier TKO. Plain and simple. Without his pace and his pressure, Merab doesn't have much to fall back on. And if he can't keep up his usual output, Sean is going to pick him apart. It's game over if Merab can't bring his A game, especially against a guy like O'Malley who thrives on capitalizing on weaknesses. I just want to point out that the only guy I see beating Sean in the division are probably Umar and maybe Peyton Tabit. Other than that, I think the rest of the division is in trouble. Sean's height and reach gives him a serious advantage over most of the weight class. Plus, his movement and his counter striking are on another level. Sean's legit, and I think it's time the people start giving him the credit he deserves, you know? Anyways, that's my official pick for Sean versus Merab. What do you guys think is going to happen this Saturday? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And like always guys, I'll see you guys on my next one.